now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online bookstores everywhere today. Grievous, the creator of the Underworld movie franchise and the Marvel Comics superhero Blue Marvel, sent me several digital comics. Now, the first of those comics that he sent me was the second issue of his Zenoscope miniseries, Rise of the Dijinn. And the second book that he sent me was the miniseries related to Bass Reeves, the man who the Lone Ranger was based on. Now, I'm going to do a review of that entire Bass Reeves series in an upcoming video, and I'm really excited to do that video because that comic was an absolute masterpiece, and I definitely want to give it a full, in-depth review that I believe everybody's going to enjoy. But for now, I'm going to be reviewing his second issue of Rise of the Dijinn, and this issue builds up on the story of the first issue as related to this war between these factions of Jinn or genies. And this mini-series really reminds me of one of my favorite animated series, Disney's Gargoyles. Now, Disney's Gargoyles by Greg Weisman, I consider to be one of the greatest animated series of the 90s and one of the greatest animated series of the animated medium here in America. And Rise of the Dijinn really gives us a great fantasy story that really has a lot of Gargoyles kind of feel, but it also has some really great twists and turns in this issue. So this is an issue you definitely don't want to miss because it builds up on the story that was established in the first issue as to Tamara's growing powers. Now, Rise of the Dijinn number 2 picks up from where the first issue left off, and that has us introduced to these 2 different factions of people who are meeting, and they are meeting to showcase the powers of the Jinn. So we're seeing that there are 2 factions out here, and it's looking like this guy disguised as a brother and his female sidekick are waging some war, and as they transform into their forms, he gets the upper hand on them. So we get a quick look at the villain or the possible villain of the series, and something that they want this casket that they're looking for. So we get a nice little character development as related to the story, as related to these Dijinn revealing their true selves. So this is a little bit of foreshadowing, and it's just very well done here, and it builds further into the Tamara's story. Now, we then see Tamara meeting up with the guy who she ran into in the previous issue, and he reveals to Tamara the source of her powers. Now, there was a fun little moment in the comic as they're going on where he tells her that she's a genie, and they make reference to one of my favorite sitcoms, I Dream of Jeannie. So they make a great reference to the Barbara Eden, Larry Hagman series, but these genies don't really want to be bottled up from what it looks like here in this comic. And it looks like there's again, he tells her more about her powers in this sequence, and I really enjoyed this sequence because it showed a good moment of humor. Now, good fantasy always has a nice little light moment of humor to break up the seriousness of the story, and this moment, as related to her being revealed to being a genie and talking about I Dream of Jeannie, is one of those great moments of levity that is up there with Star Wars when Obi-Wan told C-3PO, let the Wookiee win. It's these kind of light moments that really break up all of the tension from all of the intense fantasy, and this one was a great moment that broke it up. Now, as the story goes on, the guy that she's with continues to talk about her powers and how it helped her to cure her cancer and restore her health. And then he tells her more about the war between these factions of genies, or Dijinn, and how it relates to things going on. Now, Tamara, after learning more about how to use her powers and sees this guy's true form, she then decides to go out here and use her powers to bring her husband back to life. Now, the guy that she's with, he's not really happy about the whole idea of bringing a husband back to life, and that's because he does not want them to reveal where they were. Now, this reveals where they are, and it looks like she's taken him out, but I don't want to give away too much as related to the story, because the story here is very compelling. So I don't want to give away anything as related to the plot twist, but this little blast doesn't really do much to this dude. But it brings out more of these Dijinn that she has to fight, and as she's fighting them, she takes more of them down, and then this leads to the police finding them and then questioning your Tamara. And I don't want to give away too much of the story, but it builds into a climax with a absolutely fantastic plot twist, and this plot twist just practically spins the action around and has you really looking forward and anticipating that next issue that comes out next month that concludes the saga of the Dijinn. So we get in this story an introduction to one of the major bad guys, a major plot twist, and a lot of great character development. And this book is just, again, really compelling story of the Dijinn and their war and their incredible powers. So I really enjoyed this story. It has good action, good pacing, and it takes us into a great supernatural world. And I'm hoping that Tamara gets to be a further part of the Zenoscope universe, because I would love to see her teaming up with the other characters like Robin Hood or the people who are a part of the Grimm fairy tales, because the Zenoscope universe has some of the best female characters, and Tamara is fitting very well into that world, and I would love to see her come out of this miniseries and start working with characters like Robin Hood and the Grimm fairy tale characters, because she's basically the Elisa Maza of the Zenoscope universe. This character reminds me so much of Elisa Maza, the character voiced by Sally Richardson Whitfield back in the 90s on Gargoyles, and I really like how her character has a little bit more multidimensionality than Elisa. And I didn't think it was possible to make a character richer and more multidimensional than Elisa Maza from Gargoyles, but your Tamara is very rich and complex, and we see that there's a lot more to her motivations than what is on the surface. And I really like this. I really like this character. I really like how rich and multidimensional she is, and I like to see more of her story. And I'm hoping that her story continues on past these 3 issues, because what I see in these 3 issues has me excited to see more of this character and see more as related to this Dijinn world. Now, I would like to see the Tamara character dressed up in a Barbara Eden outfit with the harem pants and little booties and a little crop top, but I don't know if that's going to be featured in an upcoming comic. I think it would be cool to see her dressed up as the genie from I Dream of Jeannie, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But I would love to see that, though. But I really enjoyed this comic, and I'm definitely looking forward to that 3rd issue that concludes the action. Now, I really like the art here. It has a Elmo Bondok's art has a great Mark Texiera feel, and it adds to the grittiness of the story, and it really brings out all the characters, and it brings this story to life. So I really enjoyed this issue of Rise of the Dijinn, part issue number 2. And I think you'll enjoy issue number 2 when you pick it up at your local comic shop or possibly on a digital platform like the Zenoscope website or possibly on Amazon.com's Comixology, because Rise of the Dijinn is available right now at your local comic shop, and this is a great indie comic you definitely don't want to miss. So I'm going to be reviewing Bass Reeves issue 1 through 4, that miniseries, next week. And again, this is a book I'm really excited to go out here and share with you. And I'm hoping you'll be there for that video where I review Bass Reeves, the miniseries. And I hope you'll also be there when I launch my comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, on the Kickstarter soon. But until then, you can pick up the books of the John Haynes series on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find the John Haynes series on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me do more comic review videos, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App, so I can also go out here and donate to Kickstarters and bring more great comic review videos to you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available on Kindle, E-Steam No Good Deed. The Devilish Diva scares some stick-up kids straight in this action-packed E-Steam series comic. Get E-Steam No Good Deed on Kindle for 99 cents today.